Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Today we're going to be taking a look at another Mook. This is another issue of Gundam Weapons. This one's all about the Gundam Mark II and Super Gundam Special Edition, so it's got the Super Gundam equipment on there for this model here on the cover art. But as you'll see once we get into the Mook, aside from a number of very cool builds of the Gundam Mark II, we've also got a lot of just Zeta Era mobile suits in here as well. So it should be pretty interesting. If you guys are fans of the Zeta series, stick around. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So as you guys will see here, obviously this is the 1.0 Master Grade, so I was wondering when this issue came out. If we look here on the back side of number 1 there, you can see with the Masala, and I'm pretty sure this is long before that HG came out, so that's got to be a scratch build or something. We'll see once we get into the Mook. You can see the price back here for 1,429 yen, so around $15, give or take. And if we look in here, I can see the publishing date of this one. It is from 1999, so yeah, it's going way back. And let's go way back to the back, as this is in Japanese style. It's reverse for us Westerners. Inside the dust jacket, it's just like the same cover art there, but minus any of the color and the photograph of the Gundam. Up next, we've got a pull-out poster here. Poster image of two different versions of the Super Gundam there, two different builds, one by Max Watanabe and one by Yukio Agata. Quite interesting, but it's always nice to see the like face-off builds with Max and somebody else. You see that in other different publications. I think it's in a lot of the issues of Gundam Hobby Life have had different model kits where Max and somebody else build the kits, like both build their different versions of the kit. There you can see featured quite prominently Max's signature pre-shading style that he was so well known for. On the other side, this is pretty awesome. Here's a big Psycho Gundam. And this as well, I'm not sure when the high grade came out, but I would have to imagine that this is before the high grade, the HGUC version of the Psycho Gundam was even out, so that's pretty awesome. Oh yeah, it says right up here, Bandai 160 scale plastic kit, perfect grade RX-782 conversion. So he converted the PG RX-782 into the Psycho Gundam there, and then I'm guessing the Gundam Mark II here in the front. If it's not like some sort of Photoshop, it looks like it's not. It looks like it's actually like in the scene there. So that's maybe like an HG Gundam Mark II there with the PG Gundam converted into the Psycho Gundam. So that's pretty awesome. That's an awesome poster. Continuing on with the very cool imagery here, we've got the Super Gundam there in space, the Mark II and Super Gundam. So I will tell you guys something that I've talked about before in different times in the past. The Gundam Mark II, it's a cool design, but it never really is very all that exciting for me. I don't know, something about it, I don't know. I like it, and there's some great model kits of it. The HG Revive kit especially, I enjoyed quite a bit. But it's just not a Gundam that, you know, really gets me super excited. But we'll see. Maybe seeing this and taking a look through this issue will change my mind and get me more jazzed on the Gundam Mark II. But alright, so here's the G Defensor, and this is the Max Watanabe version, so you can see the colors different. One of the things that he did, if we just kind of flip back to, well, nope, that's Max's on the cover. I guess this one was the other version. Typically the G Defensor is blue there on the backpack, those parts are blue, but he went for a different color of making it more just kind of like white and black, which I think looks pretty cool. Makes it look a bit more kind of militaristic, right? Here's the other version, and this one is by Yukio Agata. And so this is in like the more traditional colors there, but as you can see, I could notice like some of the proportions, like some of the details of the design were changed a little bit, like he sharpened the front skirts a little bit more compared to Max's, stuff like that. So obviously we've got a lot of text in here as well, just all in Japanese, but it would be pretty interesting to know a bit more kind of about what that was talking about the builds of the Gundam or whatever. Up here we can see there's the actual, like the box art for the 1.0, the Mark II, the AUG version, the Titans version, and the Super Gundam 1.0. I don't think there's a 2.0 version of like the Super Gundam, so I think if you wanted to make that, you would have to get that set and then use like the G Defensor parts on the 2.0 Gundam Mark II. Is that correct? I believe that's right. I don't think that I've ever seen a 2.0 version that features the G Defensor together with the kit, but this is just kind of a little like basic information. So these are like your product images that you would see like on the box art. So these aren't going to be like custom builds or anything. These are just painted builds of those original Master Grade model kits, the 1.0. So this is like the kit review section here. So yeah, this is probably the production model that was used for the photography for that box art. But the Titans version, obviously very cool. A lot of people have applied, a lot of people are fans of the color scheme, just because it was so interesting to see, like our prototypical Gundam, but to see it in like these dark sort of evil sort of looking colors, antagonistic colors, right? And so we've basically seen this Titan's color scheme applied to pretty much any mobile suit that you could think of, any model kit that you could think of. If you just put Titan's version at the end in a Google search, you can probably find somebody that's painted a like Titan's colored version of pretty much any mobile suit. But here's the G Defensor. It's a pretty cool backpack. And gun there, of course, that gun is quite interesting, very long. There is a little bit of some work in progress shots, and I saw this on the other one as well. There's a little bit of work in progress showing like some of the different modifications that were made to it here. Like in this case, it looks like it's made to just kind of bulk out the calf armor there a little bit on it, amongst other alterations that I'm sure went on in there. Also like changing out the hoses there in the backpack, for an example. It looks like some modification here on the head as well, to make the part like the kind of like wraps around the sides and the back of the head a bit taller, it looks like. So some interesting modifications. That's the nice thing about these books like this, that kind of are focused on a particular mobile suit. Like if it's a mobile suit that you're a fan of and you want to do your own kind of custom take on it, seeing a MOOC like this, especially one that includes some work in progress photos and gives you like a lot of different examples of different custom builds of that particular mobile suit, that particular Gundam. It's great for giving you different ideas and inspiration that you can borrow from and get some ideas, that you can try out for yourself. Like say, oh, I really like how he modified the shoulder armor in that way, and then try it on your kit, stuff like that. So that's what these books are great for. One of the reasons why these books are great. I mean, otherwise it's just great to see a lot of really cool models here. In this one of the G Flyer, it's sort of quote-unquote transformation there, I guess you could call it, sort of a transformation. And the Super Gundam, so this is the Max Watanabe one that we've seen previously, and now we're just seeing some more photos of this now that they're combined. We kind of saw them separately earlier, the Gundam Mark II and the G Defensor, so, well, now we're seeing separately again. We're seeing more of just the Gundam here again. Max kind of leaned, the Mark II's color is not white, it's always been kind of like off-white, very light gray. Max kind of leaned into that even further and made it even kind of a little bit darker and a little bit more blue. So that off-white, it's more of like a light bluish gray color. And I think that's kind of closer to, I guess some of the models, well, no, if you look down here, here's like the unpainted model, and it's looking like much more white in comparison. I know the models are usually molded in like that off-white color, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen any version of the kit that's molded in like quite that dark a color. Max darkened it quite a bit for that one. Can't say that I'm particularly a fan of the darkened off-white main color of the mobile suit. I like it in a kind of pretty close to white, but off-white, I think it looks pretty nice. All right, so here we have another, this is probably the most custom one that we've seen so far, just because it's most obviously different here with the Quattro use of the Gundam Mark II. Not Char's colors, please. It's Quattro colors. Here, other than the color scheme, a couple of main modifications that stand out is number one, it has the different beam rifle, which is the beam rifle used by the Rick DS, and other mobile suits I believe also use that same beam rifle. Also has the clay bazooka, so the weaponry of the Rick DS. Also added these kind of bars up there on the top of the shoulders that, to be honest, look a little bit tacked on there. Can't say that I'm a big fan of that addition of that design, but the antennas kind of added the little kind of antennas bits there on the back, also kind of reminiscent of the Rick DS, right? Those do look kind of interesting there on the tops of the backpack. It's kind of an interesting addition. I mean, other than that, it's not really a whole lot of like super obvious changes to the design other than the bars up there on the shoulders. So anyway, what do you guys think about that? Yeah, I'm not sure. Interesting. He also extended the clay bazooka there. That's got like 2 extensions. That's got to be like quite a bit. It's one at the end too. It's quite a bit extended there. Interesting. All right. Zeta Renaissance Part 1. Let's see what we've got here. So this is still all master grades. There we have the Quell as well. So the Titans Gundam Mark II and the Quell. Interesting additions here on the shoulders of the Mark II. I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before. I don't think that's anything that's canon, right? I think this is just part of this custom build. It's like kind of 2 shield parts that he added, like these kind of like booster units in here, added onto the shoulders of the Mark II. And also added more, like a larger booster kind of unit here on the back of the leg, which is kind of interesting. Let's see if there's we can kind of see a little bit better up here in this picture. That's pretty cool. It's kind of an interesting addition, just because if we take a look back here, let's see if we can find a different photo of the back of the Gundam Mark II's legs. Well, here, if you take a look at this one here, the back of the leg's always been kind of interesting because it has quite a bit of like machinery exposed. You have like this one armor piece like right there in the middle, and there's quite a bit of the ankle joint and quite a bit of the knee joint exposed there. So it's a good area to kind of modify in. Like you can imagine if you swap out that little piece of armor, you have the option to, you know, attach on this kind of thruster unit right on there. It kind of makes sense thinking about it that that would be an area of the Gundam that would be customizable, kind of like in canon. I think that's pretty cool. So we have the B Club 1/100 scale resin kit of the Quell. So this is not even the master grade Quell, actually. Interesting. Yeah, this would have been before that came out, because I think that would have come out in 2002, not too long after this. This is 1999, so it wouldn't have been too long before the master grade came out, but we did, of course, ultimately get a master grade, and then we sort of got like a 2.0 master grade in the P Bandai version of the Hazel 2. That you can also make a Quell out of that kit, which is awesome. But it's unfortunate that it's P Bandai. Hopefully maybe someday they'll just release a 2.0 Quell or like an updated Master Grade Quell based on that version that we got as a P Bandai exclusive. And it just won't have the Hazel parts included in it, which is fine. And we'll just have a nicer, newer Master Grade Quell model would be awesome. Alright, Rick DS time, and this is right off the bat, one thing that I'm noticing is it has those little hook parts up there on the top of the shoulders. That's another thing that I really miss from older Master Grades. Like we talk a lot about, like, in the older Master Grades, in the manuals, they have like all the technical illustrations, which were cool to see. And then you have like the cardboard insert in the older Master Grade boxes that has like the big, nice photo of the painted kit. And these are things that I miss from older Master Grades, but one of the things I think that I probably missed the most is the small little detail parts that were in some of the early Master Grades. It was such a cool thing to have added that, you know, I can't imagine cost Bandai hardly anything to add, and I wish that they would keep putting out stuff like that in different kits. Just things like these little hooks that they were in there. What else was in there? I don't know. In like the 8th MS Team Master Grade kits all had those as well. I know. So anyway. Alright, Rick DS here, there's a work in progress photo, so you can kind of see that there's quite a bit of modification on there, quite a bit of plot plating done on like the front skirts, the front of the legs, the backpack as well. These whole backpack parts seem like they're entirely like rebuilt or just extended quite a bit there. And then moving quickly along here to the Bandai 1/44 scale. I think this is our first 1/44 scale, because yeah, even this Rick DS is Bandai 1/100 scale plastic kit, modeled by Ryuji Sorayama. Oh, okay, so very familiar name there. So I guess this is, yeah, this also would have been out before the Master Grade. So what he did, that's why there's so much plot plating down here, is because this is just the 1/100 scale non-grade kit. That's the old kit. And then he's just modified it quite a bit. So that's pretty awesome. As you can see, there's like some of the original kit in there, but a lot of that's plot plated just to kind of rebuild it to so more modern, I was going to say modern proportions, but more modern proportions at the time, 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago. But anyway, this Gym 2 here is the first 1/144 scale kit that we're seeing in the Mook, I believe. And this one's also a 1/44, so this is also just modeled using the 80s kit, as you can see right there. There's the original kit, which is just the old 80s Zeta Gundam 1/44 scale Gym 2. And yeah, he did a great job on that. Wow, big improvement. All right. This is 1/100 scale, so this is the 1/100 scale. So this is all going to be like built based off of the old 80s kits, because at that time, you know, in 1/100 scale and 1/44 scale in Master Grades, and we had the Master Grade Mark II, but there wasn't really anything else Master Grade, I mean, other than the Zeta Gundam itself, out from the Zeta series, I think. And the same thing in like HGUC. So HGUC was also kind of like just kicking off around that time. So probably not a whole lot available in the HGUC line either. But it's a cool build of the Hyzak, I gotta say. I've never really been that big a fan of the Hyzak, but I like this build. I think like just the modification of the head is like a little bit different on this one, and just the, I don't know, the proportions and the details of this are nice, I have to say. Nicer than other versions that I've seen. So we got some more photos of this here. And maybe it's like does it always have these bars that kind of cross the visor like quite like that? That seems like custom. Is there a photo? I was hoping there'd be a photo showing the original kit compared to this. I have to jog my memory on that. But yeah, the head definitely looks quite different. And it's very interesting. It looks cool. So yeah, nice build of that. The Gavaldi Beta, which we still don't have a master grade of, but we do have the HGUC kit of now at this point, but this is just, once again, the 1/100 scale version. So we got some comparison images down here with the original kit and this painted build right there. The original kit being quite pink, and the HGUC version is also pretty, not quite that pink, but it's kind of pinkish, reddish, right? But he went for a more darker, it looks like a metallic red here for this, which looks pretty nice there in space. Some pretty interesting, like, kind of custom decal work on that, and the modification of like changing out the hose parts for spring parts around there looks very nice. Moving right along here, then we've got the 1/100 scale painted kit master grade Zaku and Gelgoog conversion Marasai, modeled by Toshihisa Kushida. So interesting. So you used a master grade Zaku and Gelgoog and made a Marasai. I don't know. Unfortunately, no other work in progress photos for this, because that sounds interesting, and it seems like, I mean, like I can see the Gelgoog feet, yeah, maybe, and trying to see like what else is he maybe used. I guess like for the master grade Zaku, he just basically used kind of whatever of the frame that's in there, because it doesn't have like a full inner frame. The 1.0 Zaku, a lot of the old master grade kits don't have a full inner frame, so maybe just like the joint parts and stuff from the Zaku, the hose parts, and maybe like the part for the inside of the head, and then a lot of this has to be scratch built on there, but that's pretty cool. Of course, we do also have a master grade Marasai now at this point, thankfully, and it's very nice. The 1/100 scale plastic kit of the Hyakushiki. Interesting how they have it as the Hyakushiki here. They don't have it spelled out as Hyaku. I don't know if that is something that like on like the older kits they didn't do that. I wonder about like the 1980s kits of the Hyakushiki. Did they always have it like this, where it's just 100 shiki? If you guys don't know, Hyaku is 100. That's what the name means in Japanese, so it's not like it's a different name. It's just kind of spelled differently. This is modeled here by Tomoki Saito. And again, so I guess this would have been out before the master grade came out, but that's also a pretty early master grade, so it wouldn't have been too long. I'd have to imagine that between this build and when the master grade, the original 1.0 came out. That's pretty nice looking. Definitely a much more yellow gold than what we got with the 1.0 master grade. I'm not sure, I don't remember, but the 2.0 is definitely much more pale gold than that. And then we of course have the Nemo, which you could kind of see here in the background there. I just recently built the HGUC Nemo. It's the first time I've ever built any Nemo. I've not built the master grade, and this of course again is built before the master grade was available, but it's definitely a design that's grown on me over the years, and this one's quite unique. This is very custom. Like, it's like the chest on like the master grade and HG model versions that we have of this now look very different. The legs are really different. This is like such a much more bulky design of the Nemo than any of the other model kits that we have available out now. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure I necessarily like it. It is kind of cool to see a like kind of more bulky version, but I kind of like what we have now. So this is a 1/44 scale scratch built here by Kenichi Miyashita of the Masala. So yeah, as I expected, because obviously this is way before we got the HGUC, which I think was like 2015, something like that. So that's pretty awesome. That's a pretty intense custom build. The backpack part's not near as big, like proportionally, as what we got on like on the HGUC version. They're much larger. I'm not sure which one's technically more anime accurate. If like this little bit smaller one is more anime accurate, and this one's also got like much longer lower legs there. So I mean, those of you guys who are much bigger Zeta fans than I can tell me which version's more anime accurate. But I mean, I do like the look of the HG version, but it's one of those that I've just never built it. So maybe someday I'll have to pick one up, and so I can actually build it. But yeah, you can see like just proportionally, it's very different. Much longer lower legs here, and much smaller backpack parts. And also these claw parts there on the side of the arm look smaller in comparison to like what we have on the HGUC kit. But it still looks really cool. I mean, the proportions of this look nice. I gotta say, I do like it. Yeah, I'll have to check out that HG kit at some point, because it's always looked like a fun kit. I've just never built it. It's a very unique design. Here we got the Gaplant. This is also a 1/100 scale scratch build. Pretty interesting. I'm following somebody on Twitter now. I can't remember the name at the moment, so I'm sorry. If one of you guys know, put it in the comments so I can pin that. But there's somebody on Twitter that's building a, I want to say it's 160 scale, if not larger, like a really big scale, like full scratch build version of the Gaplant that somebody's working on that I'm following there on Twitter. It's really cool to see, because I love the Gaplant design, And so it's really cool to see this massive one that's being scratch built. But this looks pretty cool. I would love to get a master grade of this. This is one that, like, when people ask, you know, what's a kit that you would like to see a master grade of, this never comes to mind, honestly. But now thinking about it, like, yeah, I would love to have a master grade Gaplan. I think that would be really, really cool. The Astomer, not quite so much. Never really been a big fan of the design. It's one of those ones that, and there's a lot of these in the Zeta series, and especially Double Zeta, that are like these really unique designs, and you kind of either love it or hate it. And this is one of those that's just never really appealed much to me, I have to tell you guys. The old flying donut, it's just not really been a design that I've cared too much for, but this is a 1 to 220 scale plastic. So yeah, this is one of those ones in the Zeta series, like in the 80s, they did some of these 1/220 scales, which scale kits, which are even smaller than HGUC. So this is a pretty small kit. This is actually probably larger. Like this is probably like 1-to-1. This photo up here, that's probably like about the actual size of the kit. But you can see there's a lot of customization work done there on that. So we got a bunch of photos of this, which is nice. Yeah, if you guys are fans of the Astomer, it's a pretty cool looking build, I have to say. Up next, here is that Psycho Gundam. So this is the Psycho Gundam that is converted from the perfect grade RX-782 that we saw in the poster at the beginning. Here we now see it in this kind of snow landscape, it looks like, I guess. Kind of here, that's what it kind of appears to be, there with that snowy background. But yeah, pretty awesome that that's modified from the perfect grade Gundam, I have to say. Again, that's a big project. And it's sort of like hard to see, but here in the foreground, we've got a little bit of a DJ there, which you can barely see, and I guess we're probably going to see later on. We still have quite a bit of this left. There's quite a lot of stuff left, so we'll try to go through the rest of this a little bit quicker maybe for you guys. But there's a lot of great stuff in here. I mean, like I said at the beginning, if you guys are Zeta Gundam fans of the mobile suits from the Zeta Gundam series, a lot of really great stuff in here. It really kind of covers it. A lot of times in these Gundam Weapons issues, they tend to focus, you know, primarily on one particular mobile suit, and then there'll be like a few more at the end. But this has quite a lot of different stuff in here. I guess there's probably a different issue that's more specifically about the Gundam Mark II, and it's like mostly Gundam Mark II. And then this one is the Gundam Mark II and Super Gundam Special Edition, so that's like kind of a little bit of the Gundam Mark II, and then like a lot of other stuff in there. So I would have to imagine that's probably how that went. But here we have a 1/44 scale plastic kit of the Gabflay, another really cool design. And the HG kit, while it's a pretty old and sort of dated HGUC kit, it's still a fun kit. This one is one that I have built a long time ago. It's just a really fun kit just because it's, again, a very unique design and pretty awesome. Josh, our good friend, Josh Derrick, did a really awesome build here, a custom build of that. So, all right, Zeta Gundam Renaissance Part 2 here. So there we've got the Zeta Gundam, Hyakushiki, and the Rick Dias. So here's the Zeta Gundam. This one is obviously the Master Grade 1.0. Yep, and you can tell, I mean, just now that I've built them, I can tell, just especially by looking at different parts of the kit, like the size of the head, like the shape of the details and everything around the leg. Like I mentioned in the reviews of those kits, especially in the review of the 2.0, I talked about how like the details and everything, it's kind of much more like rounder shaped, where the 2.0 is much more like sharper in its angles and everything. But this is a really cool build and mounting of this, how it's mounted on this display stand like at an angle with the Hyper Mega launcher there. It's a very cool build. So this is by who? Modeled by Fuminori Hoshi G-Cube. So pretty awesome build there of the Zeta Gundam, I have to say. Here we've got the 1/44 scale Hammurabi. It's interesting how like all of these at the time of this publication, we just had the 80s kits, and like all of them now have newer HGUC kits available since then. So again, if you guys are fans of the Zeta Gundam era designs, it's nice that we have so many great kits available to us now at this point in time. But that's pretty cool. The wire, I can't remember the name of this weapon. It has a quite interesting name, but now the name is escaping me. But the name of that weapon was always kind of fun. This kind of like hook wire thing that it's got. All right, and here's that DJ. I'd imagine this is probably the DJ that we saw earlier, except this is 1/100 scale, but I mean with the kind of forced perspective we saw in the photograph of the Psycho Gundam, they could have just made it look, you know, smaller when it's actually pretty big. Quite interesting head design on this, very different from both the RE and the HG versions of the DJ that we have now. That head is very like kind of skull-like. It's very thin and interesting build there of the head. Wow, yeah, it's really different, interesting. But like the rest of the design to me is pretty same. It's a bit more kind of like blocky there in the chest, it looks like. But anyway, a lot of it, fairly close to what we have in the later versions of the kit. Well, I guess except for the legs. I mean, wow, those feet are gigantic. If you look at it from like the side profile, it has some huge feet. They don't look that big from the front, but man, they're very long. Anyway, so yeah, this one also, you can see over here in the work in progress image, there's a lot of that is all scratch built. So it's like more than half scratch built. All right, another Psycho Gundam here. This one is the B Club 1/220 scale. So because of the size of the Psycho Gundam, even though it's 1/220 scale, which would normally be smaller, I imagine this is probably still like fairly large. Somewhere between like a typical 144 and 100 scale Gundam, I would have to imagine. But so this is a B Club resin kit. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that. I've certainly never seen it in person, like at a shop or anything like that. It's probably very difficult to find at this point, if not impossible, I don't know. But I'm not sure that I've ever even seen like images of this kit before. I think it's probably my first time ever really seeing it, but a lot of the older B Club stuff is like that. I mean, unless it's something that you're intentionally looking for, and I'm just not ever really looking for stuff about old B Club kits. But here we got the Biolant, which we now have many different versions of in HD. This would be another one that I would love to have a master grade of. It's a cool design, as you guys know. I love it. I've reviewed, I think, probably like 5 different versions of the HG now at this point. But it's a great kit. I love it. And so this one's really cool to see. This is a 1/100 scale, 1/100 scale kit here. This one's also by Kenichi Miyashita. So that's pretty awesome. Next up, we got the Palace Athene. This one's also a 1/100 scale scratch build of the Palace Athene. This one's also a really cool design, one that I've not ever built the kit, but it's a cool design. I'll have to build it at some point. This one I think would be a great candidate for a RE100 kit. I mean, a lot of people, maybe you would love a master grade. I mean, sure, yeah. But at the very least, an RE100 kit I think would be really nice of the Palace Athene. That's one that I've always thought would make a good one. So all right, here we got the O, but it's a little bit different looking version of the O here. So this is a B Club 1/144 scale version of the O, and yeah, it's very different, but quite unique. I mean, the different colors. Let's see if we can get a better look at it here on the next page. Yeah, what's going on here on the shoulders? It's got like really weird different equipment. It's such a odd color scheme. It's like a super dark maroon color. It looks really strange compared to, this is almost looks like it's meant to be like a kind of prototype of the O or something like that. You know, much different from what obviously we've seen in the anime. But wow, it's not to my taste at all, I'll tell you guys that. But anyway, so we got a few more images of that. It's pretty unique though, for sure. And there we got it with the Gundam Mark II. And now Zeta Gundam in B Club. So these are just going to be all B Club resin stuff, I guess, here. So we got the Gundam Mark II, the Gabflay, and so these are just going to be like production images, not necessarily like custom builds or anything. Just production images of the B Club resin kits. So I guess B Club was kind of in its prime at that time, I guess, in the late 90s, and then kind of went by the wayside. These are all 144 scale too, I believe. Yeah, all 144 scale. The Rikdias, the Hyakushiki here, or the Pekshik, as it's called in Korean. The Cubelay, this is also a B Club. This is a 1/100 scale kit, so B Club 1/100 scale. That one's probably got to be very difficult to find, or very expensive, because it'd be a quite big kit, and also probably pretty sought after one. I mean, the Cubelay is a popular design. The Bondak, which we did finally get an HG kit of not too long ago, just a couple years ago now. We finally got a new HGUC kit of that, which is also very nice. This is a B Club 1/44 scale resin kit. There, I mean, it looks pretty cool, and it's transformable, which is pretty awesome. And here's the O in much more familiar colors, but still kind of unfamiliar in its proportions, as look at that head design. It's a very different shaped head from what we're used to. Wow, quite interesting. Again, like the majority of the design is all pretty close to kind of what we're familiar with, it looks like. But man, the head is very different. Up next here, we got the Zeta 2. This one's also a B Club kit. And it looks like this one is now printing. So this one was like maybe the next one that was coming out at the time in the B Club series. So, and the Gym. Oh, so this is about the new master grade model. So this was the 1.0 version of the Gym was what was coming out at the time. So it could just kind of like a little advertisement here for the next MG. And the next, another new upcoming MG next master grade model of the Zaku 1. So we had the OG grunts, the Jim and the Zaku 1 coming out in the master grade line at the time, and then the Black Tri-Stars variant as well. Okay, so next up we've got articles, which is going to be all in black and white here for this section, and it's just going to be a lot of Japanese text, so I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this. It's text about some of the models that we saw earlier in the issue, so it'd be cool like if you were really particularly interested in this build of the Psycho Gundam. You know, it's a lot of translation work, but if you translate that, it's just a bunch more text kind of about the builds. So, and it's from the authors, from the modelers. So that's cool. And then at the back here, another really awesome addition to this series of Mooks is the design works at the end. So we have a bunch of line art. Here of the G Defensor, of the Gundam Mark II, of the Super Gundam combined there. Design works here. So different versions. I think this is, who's this one by? So this is the Katoki illustration here, it looks like. Yeah, that's Katoki-san's illustration, and this one is the Okawara design, I believe, would be that one. You guys can correct me on that, I'm sure you will. But that's it. So not a whole lot for this one, just these 2 pages. But that's the end. Okay, so that was longer than I expected, but there was a lot of stuff in there. So let me know your guys' favorite in the comment section down below. What was your favorite build from this? There was a lot of different mobile suits featured in here, kind of basically like every mobile suit from Zeta Gundam, it seemed like. But let me know your favorites. Of course, if you guys are looking for some model kits, new and old versions of anything from here, anything else you guys may be looking for model kits, check out the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Thank you guys all so much for your support, liking, commenting, subscribing. I really appreciate it, guys. Until next time, have a great day. See y'all later. Bye.